Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jacob was the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary. Of her was born Jesus, who is called the Christ. Now this is how the birth of Jesus Christ came about. When his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph, but before they lived together, she was found with child through the Holy Spirit. Joseph, her husband, since he was a righteous man, yet unwilling to expose her to shame, decided to divorce her quietly. Such was his intention when, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary, your wife, into your home. For it is through the Holy Spirit that this child has been conceived in her. She will bear a son, and you are to name him Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins. When Joseph awoke, he did as the angel of the Lord had commanded him, and took his wife into his home. My sisters and brothers, the gospel of the Lord. Through the years, often people have asked me, how come we don't know more about Joseph? How come we don't have more details about his life, his own growing up, and what he was about, and all, many stories about Mary and Joseph in those early years. We're kind of living in a culture that's a lot based on People magazine. So here's somebody famous, and we want to know all these things. And the reality is, we're reminded, and we should be reminded in our culture, that we know plenty about Joseph. We know what's most important about Joseph. Yeah, we don't have trivia about his biography, but we certainly know, whether it's the gospel here or others, that Joseph, what was most important, Joseph was a righteous man. Joseph was centered in the Lord. Think about it, even the fact that he and Mary were drawn to one another. In a patriarchal culture, that he chose her, must have seen each other's goodness and each other's faith that they shared in common. And of course, how heartbreaking it had to be, at least for a few moments, when he was going to divorce her because he thought she was unfaithful and been involved in somebody else. That had to be terrible. And then, of course, the dream, because he's open to God. He listens to the Lord in dreams. He's focused on God. And so in that openness, God speaks to him. And Joseph, understandably, could have been pretty upset. Well, God, why didn't you tell me sooner? Why did I have to go through all of this? I don't know if I want to trust you. Look what happened. I trusted you, and you didn't even tell me in the proper timing. But no, Joseph didn't get down on God. So today, as we remember Joseph, we remember what matters most. And maybe we can all move away from a People magazine culture and remember in each of our own lives what matters most. That we trust God, that we're righteous, that we live with integrity, that we're loving of the people he places in our lives. That's what matters most. Take a moment and see how we're doing with that, and how we can follow the example of Joseph, who didn't need to get a lot of attention, whose attention was on following the Lord, loving Mary, and raising Jesus. God bless you.